Hello, everybody. Welcome to Round 8, the live commentary for the 1000 GM Hollywood Classic in sunny California. And we have just a few games left going tonight, so this will be mostly recap, but Round 8 is pretty exciting. So let's go to the live games right now first. So let's start with the International Masters section. And we have FIDE Master Melinda Mighty versus FIDE Master Austin May. And this is looking like a complex endgame with white being up in exchange for a pawn. But it doesn't look like it is winnable at all. This looks like a drawn position. Pretty standard draw here. As, well, black has the pawn here. And it looks like they'll probably agree to a draw very soon here. So why don't we just recap the games. Let's go back to the Grandmasters section first and we'll recap the games here. Kind of tap through the games and just have some fun with them since we're coming on a little bit later tonight. And most of the games have finished. So let's check this one out. And before we begin, though, I want to make sure that you know that 1000 GM is a non-profit, and it is here for the players. And none of the norm seekers, that is, pay an entry fee. So we depend on donations, and we definitely need your donations, especially if you have a matching donation from your employer. So please consider giving today if you are able to. Okay, now with that said, let's get into the games. Here we had International Master Chiron Griffith against Grandmaster Alexei Sorokin, and it's a fun Sicilian, a Najdorf at that, with this H4 variation. This is a kind of rare variation. We've seen a few different moves here in this tournament, but I don't think we've seen H4 at all. So Sorokin plays E5 and a fast F4, F4 and G4. Okay, and the exchange in the center, that's pretty common. And here, white plays A3. That's slightly inaccurate, according to this version of Stockfish. So I'm not sure. This might be... Yeah, Griffith is playing this one very quickly. So this was a line that he was playing. So I'm not exactly sure if what went wrong here, because he's actually getting a small advantage out of this opening. And he's playing really quickly up until move 19. So Queen C5, I don't think he expected. He was playing super quickly, and Sorokin was taking some time. So clearly Griffith was in his prep. But at some point here, he went wrong. He went wrong right about here on move 19 on C4. I guess one of the first moves he's thinking for himself. And the best move is not intuitive. It's King D1. So I definitely wouldn't have expected that. Okay, so let's see here. And it looks like Sorokin just took over the game after that. And he blunders here with knight C6, but the position is already pretty challenging. The white king is under pressure, and if you look at the black king, no pressure. Yeah, and Sorokin is just clinical here. Doesn't let white escape at all, and everything basically falls apart. And he resigns with a mate in one coming. So if king b1, we have rook d1 checkmate. So very nice game by Sorokin, and even in a position that Griffith was really planning. So A kind of surprise from Griffith, though, because he was playing pretty well this tournament. So let's check out the next game. A draw between Grandmaster Segmed and Grandmaster Michaelian. Michaelian, I believe, is leading the tournament right now. So a draw is very good for him. Oops. So a Queen's Gambit accepted with a quick trade on D8. So this game, you know, it went into a middle endgame very quickly. But it looks like it was a fighting game, so let's see what happened here. E4, Rook D6, A3, Knight B6. Okay, the Rooks trade. And in this position, White has a pretty significant advantage, almost a 1 point advantage. So Knight C5, Rook A7, King F2, F6, King E2, H5, and H4, G6, G3. Interesting. So White is actually winning here. Grandmaster Segmed definitely misses a beat. I don't see where yet. So he wins a pawn, Knight A4, and then wins, well, trades the pieces here. Trades into this endgame. And apparently this endgame is just winning, but, well, it's a rook ending, so the famous saying that all rook endings are drawn, it's obviously an over-exaggeration, but it's not easy to win these rook endings, so. So King B4 is a small mistake. The computer is saying B3. I'm not sure I exactly see why B3 is the best move. But there's a bunch of other good moves here. Rook E6, Rook C5. I mean, this at first glance doesn't look like it's that bad, though. Looks like White is just winning all the pawns here. So Black creates this passed pawn. And, well, it looks like the best idea here is just to come back and win the pawn. It's very surprising, actually, that Grandmaster Segmed did not play this. He played King takes B5. And this is giving Black a chance here, because now I think this king can walk in, and this pawn is always a threat. Yeah, the rook now is passive, stuck in front of the king. And, oh, he's walking into E4. Yeah, that makes sense. And now... now a repetition. But does White take it? White tries to avoid the repetition here, but could not. And then the game ends peacefully. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Very nice play. Very nice save from Grandmaster Michaelian, who was losing that game. Okay, and the third game of this round. Wow, let's go. This is the important, very important game with FIDE Master Sandeep Sethurman against International Master Victor Matavision. And Matavision won, which puts him half a point away from a GM norm. I'm very excited about this one. Wow, incredible. Half a point away. So, let's go. So let's see this one. This is the most important game of the round. Knight F6, C4, E6. So a Nimzo, and the classical Queen C2. And Matavision plays the D5 system. A3, Bishop takes C3, Queen takes C3, castles, and Bishop G5. This has been played a lot, and it's very good. C5, okay. I usually take on C4, but C5 is fine. D takes C5, and D4. Queen F3, Knight BD7, E3, and now getting rid of the pin, and White castles queenside. Now, the computer isn't saying it, but it's very risky to castle queenside here. Actually, it's very hard to play, and I would not recommend it. Okay, Queen G3, Queen E7, takes. And black makes a mistake here. After queen g3, d3 was the best move. But black makes a mistake, and then white is just better here. Yeah, white is just better here. Wow. Matavision. How did he come back here? Okay. I mean, this doesn't look that much better for white. It looks fine for black, optically. Knight c3, of course, yes. Knight d7. Knight d1. That looks suspect. Knight d1. Why not just play b4 and guard the pawn? Okay, so that's white's mistake here. Now, white gives away the pawn, but it's actually worse to take it. Better was e2, which is not intuitive, frankly. There must be a reason why the bishop on e2 is better than on on f1. Not super intuitive, so we can't really fault black for that. So black is putting practical pressure on white, and even though the computer hates it, it's not a big problem. Like, the computer hates all this play. It's really funny. It's saying that white is just winning the whole time. And I don't fully understand, though, because yeah, I mean, and white is playing really well here. So, and black is now in a passive position. Yeah, so this is one of the reasons that's kind of hard to tell from far away. The rook is able to get into the position. Okay. Okay, so white blunders with king d3 here. Rook takes a7 is the best move. Interesting. But where does white give away the whole game? I'm very confused right now. Matavision just, like, voodooed him. Oh, it's here. Okay, so he missed it just for a second. So after rook d3, king e1 was best. Wow. Sandeep Sethurman was running out of time in this position, so I can see that. Now the pawn is just super powerful. It's running quickly. I see. So trades the rook but gets a queen. Wow. Wow. That's incredible. Victor Matavision, 6 out of 8. He's about to get the GM norm. All he has to do is draw tomorrow. And he has white, I think. Wow, that's incredible. Okay, and here we have Andy Woodward versus Robert Shlatenko. Unfortunately, Andy lost this game and is now out of contention for a GM norm. He needed to win both rounds. So he probably was just pushing too hard here. Let's see the game. Just clicking through it very quickly here. And it looks like he was fine until this point. The Robert Saxon exchange, actually a nice savvy exchange sack here. The bishops are super strong. And, yeah, and this h-pawn is weak, so black will get this h-pawn too. Wow! Wow, look at this move from Robert. Queen f3! Very nice. Very, very nice. And the point is, if g takes f3, well, g takes f3 is a mistake, and that was actually played in the game. Because of check, and then the queen gets picked up again. So black wins a pawn here, and then all of white's pieces on the back rank here are pretty poorly placed. And Robert makes a few small inaccuracies, but this position's super complicated, and these pawns are really powerful. So, no big deal. He pushes them home to victory. Wow, look at that. Look at this. 2 pawns on the second rank worth a queen. Nice. Very nice. Excellent game. Nice game there. Robert gets a win and knocks Andy out of contention for the GM norm. Sorry about that, Andy. But you definitely... Andy will have time. Don't feel too bad for him. He's 10, and he's going to have a lot of shots ahead of him. So, okay, here we have Kosher Kuvuzki versus Joshua Sethurman. And Kuvuzki is one of my best friends in the chess world, so poor Kosher having a pretty bad tournament. And Josiah Sethurman did a lot to help 1000 GM organize these events, so thank you, Josiah. We really appreciate that. Let's check out this game. All right, nice game here. So Kosher's just playing a very solid opening again. He must be tired because losing is not fun. He's starting to lose control of this position around here. I don't fully understand this position. I'm relying on the engine for this one. But it looks like knight c3 is the best move here. Just going back, the knight is not very good on the edge. And that's pretty standard. But he plays knight e5 instead. And I think he probably missed c5 right here. Because c5 is a little bit dangerous. f4 takes. Well, it's totally fine for white here. So I don't quite know where Kosher goes wrong. Let's see. Okay, taking the b6 pawn. I don't understand. Why not take with the knight? Knight takes b6. Looks fine. What was he afraid of here? Uncharacteristic of Kosher here. This looks like it just... Queen a7 is the best move. Okay, so it is tricky because the knight gets pinned to the queen. But I guess knight c4, right? It says computer's saying rook c6 now. But okay, I can see why this would be hard to play in a game. So it makes sense. But that lets black team kind of take over the position. And black's pieces become very active. Plus this passed pawn on e4, now e3. And Josiah takes on g2, and Kosher resigns here because it's hopeless. The king is busted, and this e3 pawn is a monster. King g1 would be the best move, but then bishop f3 threatens mate on the back rank. Okay, nice game there. Sorry about that one, Kosher. So let's look at the standings for the Grandmasters section. One more time here before we recap the International Masters section. So it looks like, wow, Victor Matavision, International Master Victor Matavision, is now a half point away from a GM norm. He needs only a half point. And Grandmaster Armin Mikhailian is also tied for first place. International Master Josiah Sethurman is on 5 out of 8. Sorokin and Woodward are on 4.5 out of 8. Shlatenko gets back to even with that win with 4 out of 8. Grandmaster Segmed is on -1 with 3 out of 8. Sethurman and Griffith are on -2. And poor Kosher just is having a lot of trouble with 2 points, rounding up the group. So, good games there. Tomorrow's the last round. We'll see if Victor Matavision will get that GM norm. Okay, let's check out the IM section. And Malind Maiti and Austin May did draw this completely drawn position. So let's take a look at their games. So here we have Roushan beating a Grandmaster. Great job, Roushan. If you don't know, Roushan did a lot to help 1000 GM organize this, and he has his own company. Go check him out. A really talented kid. And let's see how he beats this Grandmaster. Grandmaster Batoon. Sorry, Grandmaster Batoon. But you've had plenty of time for wins. Roushan, it's now Roushan's time. Okay, anyway, let's see this game. So, an interesting way to play. I've never really considered playing this way as black. So let's see how Roushan will play it. Very solidly until h5. Ooh, look at that. Attacking. And castling on the king side. That seems pretty crazy. Alright, let's see how it goes. Okay, white's pawn structure gets busted up. That is one reason. And... okay, taking on d5. Wow, look at this knight. Okay, so Roushan gets this knight to d3, and that's a monster. He trades it off. It's probably fine to trade it off. Yeah, that's the right move. And then he makes a small inaccuracy here by taking the pawn. It's better to take with the rook instead of the bishop. And if you're just joining us, this is the International Masters section. I'm doing a recap of some of the games here from the round. We have Grandmaster Batoon losing to candidate master Roushan Mahajan, one of the organizers of this tournament. We thank him very much for his efforts. And this is looking really great here. Looking very nice. Nice game he played against Grandmaster Batoon. And we'll look at the scores later, but he's definitely moved up the standings. So he's having a very nice tournament. So it looks like Grandmaster Batoon blunders right here with knight d6. Rook b3 was slightly better to put pressure on this bishop. And he just has to be, fine with giving up that pawn. Okay, so in the game, though, knight d6 was played. Queen takes e3 check, and now the king is under some pressure. And Roushan plays very, very, very well here. He defends the pawn on b7, doesn't get fancy, doesn't try to over-press, but the queen still gets into c1, so that's really nice. Okay, now the bishop is under attack, but it's covered twice. So Roushan blunders slightly here. d4 looks like one of the best moves, either d4 or bishop d2. But d4 is very nice. The pawn starts advancing, and the bishop is guarded, so it frees the queen and rook up here. So, yeah, it looks like Grandmaster Batoon is tired and just playing inaccurately. And Roushan just chases down the king. And here, Grandmaster Batoon resigns after after queen g5. Is it just because he's giving up this extra pawn? Oh, he looks like he flagged. Did he flag? Or resign? That's what I want to know. It looks like he ran out of time. Okay, nice job from Roushan. Okay, Aaron Grabinski wins a game here, and I think Grabinski's been on the top of the standings, so against the bottom of the standings, FIDE master Singhania. Okay, so white just gives up too much trying to attack the king side, and black just takes control because black's way ahead on pawns here. And Singhania resigns. Is it because these pawns are too powerful? He can't take because of queen f1 check, right? So, yeah, and if he doesn't take, like, and play something like queen d4, queen f1 is still coming here. And then the queens are trading. And once the queens trade in this position, it's game over, because these two pawns on the king side are way too strong. Way, way, way too strong. All right, nice game there from Aaron Grabinski. Here's the next one with International Master Ostrovsky winning against FIDE Master Jan. Ostrovsky is, I believe he was on, I think he was in first last time I saw, so we'll see. And it looks like Ostrovsky just took control in the beginning of the game and didn't let go. Like the whole game he has an advantage here. Oh, look at this last move here. E6 exclamation mark. Wow. I'm trying to see exactly what happens after queen takes e6. Oh, well, okay. Yeah. I'm silly. There goes a rook. So nice move. Ends the game immediately. Nice game there. And then 2 draws. Oh, this is a really short draw. Okay, no wonder this game was over when I got here. So, a very quick draw. I believe both players don't have a shot at a norm, so they wanted to call it a quick night. And after the exchange of queens, it looks like black offered a draw. And they took it, a really short 16-move draw. And then this is not a short draw. I saw the ending, so let's just see how this one goes. A Grunfeld. Oh, wow. It looks like Austin May was ready for this game and came into it with a exchange sack, but now with a bunch of pawns and the bishop pair. Where does he make a mistake here? Queen takes e3. The computer is screaming that knight d3 check is better. Let's see the line. I want to see this line. Oh. So I think what's harder to calculate is king f1, but that would just drop the rook, huh? I mean, with queen takes c1. So that, okay, so you'd have to take with the bishop. But then why not play that? This position looks really strong. Like, maybe like queen a5 and then rook e8. There's probably a lot of good moves here. This looks really nice for the black team. But he exchanges queens, and he's still winning here. So I don't fully understand why this is bad. Where does he really go wrong? So he's still winning here. Black is actually just crushing here. So this is a small mistake. What was better? Bishop f5. Probably to redirect the bishop is my guess. Let's see. Oh, bishop f5 allows the knight to come to d3. So after rook f1, so bishop f5, rook f1, knight d3. Wow. And then the knight can join in the attack over there. And I don't think white can really take. It's like bishop f5, rook f1, knight d3, and taking is just losing because this pawn is ready to go. Yeah. Okay, that's very tricky. Not easy to see. So Mighty's still winning here, but every trade he does goes closer to a draw. So this is one of those positions you really don't want to be trading pieces. You want to keep all the material on to attack with. Okay, well, nice draw there. Nice save by Mighty. Go check out his interview, by the way. He did a really nice one with me. And I'm Expert Coach Q. Let's double check. Actually, one more thing. I want to see the final standings in this section. The Hollywood Chess Classic I Am Norm section. So right now, I Am Ostrovsky has 6.5 out of 8. Very strong score. And I Am Grabinski is chasing with 6 out of 8. Candidate Master Roushan Mahajan has 4.5 out of 8. Very strong score right now. What is that? +1. Very strong considering that he was at the bottom of the ratings list. So I think he's the lowest rated player here, unless Lee is. I'm not exactly sure. Lee's on 4 out of 8. Mighty and Gajolvik with 4 out of 8. And FM Jan and FM May on -1 with 3.5. Grandmaster Batoon with 3. And poor FIDE Master Singhania not having a good tournament. So hopefully he'll bounce back the next one with 1 out of 8. Okay, one more round left tomorrow. And please, if you haven't done it, please think about donating to 1000 GM. They are organizing all of these events for free for the norm seekers. So if you value this, double check with your employer. They may have a matching grant. So, if you give, say $10,000, they'll give 10,000 more. And that's 20,000 that we can use to put on these tournaments. So we appreciate 1000 GM for hosting this. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'll probably be doing a recap tomorrow because I'm getting in for the U.S. Open. I'm driving out to Palm Springs. So I'll do a recap of round 9. And we'll see. There's one player seeking a GM norm. I am Victor Matavision. That is incredible. 6 out of 8 right now. On top of the standings, tied with Grandmaster Michaelian. And they will be... he will be... Who will he play tomorrow, actually? Let's look at that real quick before I go. Round 9. I'll click on it. Does it not show... too bad it doesn't show he's playing tomorrow. So I'll do the recap tomorrow as well once I get into Palm Springs for round 9. And thank you very much, everybody, for watching and supporting 1000 GM. And thanks to the players for playing such great games. So I'll see you tomorrow. Signing off, Coach Q, your resident chess expert extraordinaire.